What is up, people, or should I say guardians, as I imagine you two are playing Destiny if you decided to look up this guide. And I decided to make this guide first, as out of all the exotic bounties, this one is definitely the most challenging. The reward for your efforts in this case is the Thorn, an evil looking exotic hand cannon that makes a very loud bang. I'll give my thoughts on the weapon at the end of the video, but first things first, how do we obtain it? So, no doubt by now you've been given a choice of exotic bounties to choose from, and the one we're looking to take for this item is called a Light in the Dark. Once you've selected this bounty, you're ready to begin the first steps, which are very simple and easy. Step 1. Complete the summoning pitch strike on Moon. You can do this on regular difficulty, so you shouldn't have any problems completing this step. Step 2. Kill 500 hive enemies on the Moon. I was able to complete half of this just by running through step 1, so feel free to run through it a second time if you want to get step 2 done. If you don't want to do this, however, you can just do some patrols on the Moon and look around for hive spawns. It shouldn't take you more than 20 minutes to do this. Now things get a little bit more difficult. Step 3. Kill guardians in the Crucible using void damage. This will require you to PvP, and you'll have to use a specific group of weapons to get it done. The weapons you can use for this are secondary and heavy, and they will need to be of void damage type. I recommend using a sniper to get this done, as it's the most efficient way of getting kills without putting yourself at too much risk of being killed yourself, as killing an enemy will give you 5 points to the progression, but dying will make you lose 2. If you don't have a void sniper rifle, then a fusion rifle is probably the next best thing, as it's a very cheap weapon. It isn't too hard to be effective with, so long as you get the hang of charging the item and being within close enough range to land the entire burst of the weapon. It will be easier if you can get a friend to help you, as them using a hand cannon to break the shields before you blast them will be a very effective way of completing the step. You can also use a shotgun, but the problems I find with this weapon is that you will have to kill the enemy in one shot. If you fail, you'll end up having to melee the target to finish them off, and this will not count towards the progression. It also means that you'll have to get very close to targets and will cost you a lot of deaths. If you have a void heavy weapon, make sure you're ready to snag the heavy ammo as soon as it's available, as heavy weapons are almost a guaranteed kill, provided you have good positional awareness. Your class can also help you out with this, depending on if you're a warlock or a titan, as void walkers and defenders both have access to this type of damage. Pro tip, you can use the defender sticky grenades to get post-mortem medals done within minutes if you're on that particular bounty. The best tip I can give you for this step is to just take your time, don't act like your name's Rambo, just hang back, be aware of your surroundings and play to the style of whichever weapon you've decided to use. This step should take you between 1 and 3 hours depending on how well you play. Now the really hard part. For this you will need at least one skilled teammate and a selection of weapon damage types. Those damage types are arc damage and solar damage. You will need arc damage to break the shields of knights, as wailing on them with regular damage types is likely to just be resisted. Once the shields are broken, you can switch to your main weapons and they shouldn't be too tough to bring down. For wizards, this is where you will need to be using solar damage. Now if you're fortunate enough to be able to run with both solar and arc damage in your personal loadout, this will make things easier, but most likely you will have to focus on one type each between you and your teammates. Once you get to the boss, the best advice I can give you is not hide in the doorway like many people suggest. This may work in earlier stages of the mission, but in this encounter you will be met with a fail-safe system such as spawning enemies inside the room, and you will eventually be overrun by the enemies outside the room. Ideally you will have a defender titan with you. Clear the enemies as you leave the room and ignore the boss. You do not want to kill him. You want to clear the waves of ads until Zor the Unwed spawns, which typically takes about 3 waves. If you have trouble spotting him, he resembles a wizard and he will spawn with other wizards. Try and head to a good spot with cover. Towards the far left side of the map is a good location, as it allows you to both protect yourself from the boss whilst having a clear vantage point of all the enemies that are spawning. Hopefully you have a defender titan with you who can utilize their super when things get a bit intense, and they will get intense. So remember to communicate with each other, breaking the shields of the targets and taking them down in a focused fashion. Do not freak out and run around shooting random targets. If you do everything as suggested, then eventually Zor will spawn and he can be taken down pretty quickly with solar damage. A Sunsinger Warlock will have a huge advantage in doing this. Luckily I had one in my team who was pretty much able to solo him whilst I was dead on the floor. We didn't have a hunter in the group, but they are also useful at killing knights, as their blade dancing tree has some nice arc damage abilities. So no matter your class, you should be useful as long as you synergize with your group. After completing this, you're done. You can hand in your bounty and claim your reward, the Thorn. My personal thoughts on the weapon: it's a very interesting weapon that is very playstyle dependent. It's very aesthetically pleasing, and if Batman used guns, I think it would look something like this. The weapon has some very interesting upgrades within its tree, and I think it definitely shines in PvE. It can be strong in PvP in the right hands, provided you are familiar with the hand cannon playstyle and land your headshots every time. In the hands of a casual player, I would definitely not recommend this weapon in PvP. I would also recommend using an armor piece that gives you a boost to hand cannon reload speed, as the standard reload speed can be quite timely alongside it not having a very large chamber. That's the video, guys. I will be making videos for the other weapons as I've obtained most of them now, and I will be working on some PvP and PvE class build videos in the coming weeks. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and for all things Destiny and more, hit that subscribe button. Okay guys, take care.